these books that I have carried, each of these books is...
Look at the dramatic face of Simon Kagwanjala.
4,000 pages. This is one set of books that we have to read when we are preparing a budget. There are 4 functions of a member of parliament. So the work of an MP is to go through this. And this is just one set. Yeah. That's why when you are presenting a budget and I am not in this parliament, that parliament will miss me. You've got to read this. These are 4,000 pages. This is one volume. This is volume 2, 4,000 pages. This is volume 3, 4,000 pages.
Do you read
and I do. You should go and...
Look, he can read those. It is fine. But a parliament is not a lecture room. It is not a classroom. You might be an avid reader. Reading might be your hobby. What if the other members of parliament who do not, but are good performers? What is the role? Of what importance is a technical advisor? Is a researcher for you? Of what importance are analysts?
When the other day you said Bakapere, you described the new lot, the new crop as Bakapere.
Yes,
I think
you
that's
see,
a bit disrespectful and harsh.
I am not disrespecting.
Now, that's where he goes wrong. Really, you cannot describe your fellow members of parliament as with a derogatory term, Bakapere. And when you're presented by your own words, there's no some sort of humility within you to say, hey, I take back those words, but this is what I intended to say. His egotistical worldview won't allow him to swallow this pride and be like, hey, I'm sorry. This is what I meant to say. Come on.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
And yes, indeed, presenting to you from these United States of the America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching us. This is Mordecai Marissa, and you're watching Mordecai Marissa Live. Absolutely. And yes, indeed, I hope you're having a great time. Please join us, join the team, join the community. How do you do that? By subscribing to the feed. Are you ready? Oh, yeah. We are almost hitting 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. I immensely appreciate that. So please join us as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to have a conversation about what you see on your screen right there. Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda continues to defend Medard Lubega Sseggona, his friend, his intellectual and elite friend. Okay, we respond to this. Okay, so I would like you to join the conversation. Write in the comment section what you think about my opinions. And you may disagree with me. I mean, come on. You can do that. Welcome aboard. We can agree to disagree agreeably. That's the height of civility. All right, let's go here. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, the denial of the NUP party ticket for Busiro East constituency to Medard Lubega Sseggona in favor of local musician Matthias Impuga, who is pursuing a bachelor's degree in public administration from, I think, St. Lawrence University. It didn't just ruffle feathers. It struck a nerve. It really sent shockwaves through Uganda's political elite, the intellectuals, the elite. And among those that are visibly wounded by the decision made by the NUP is none other than Kira Municipality Member of Parliament, Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda. Now, that really perplexes me, and I'll tell you why. Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda belongs to the People's Front for Freedom. A decision was made by a separate political entity, the National Unity Platform. But now, Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda has been going on some sort of a media tour, to explain why the NUP made a wrong decision. I believe he's taking this personally than many people think that he's taking it politically. In what now has become some sort of a heated debate between the framing of elitism and intellectualism versus populism, Semujju took a dramatic twist of performance. He got to the extent of hurling budget booklets into the studios of NTV. And all for what? I mean, to try to prove a point that, hey, he's smart. That, hey, he reads all these booklets, and if you're going to be in parliament, you should be like him. I disagree with him. Now, I want to make something very categorically clear before I actually go into this conversation. I have immense respect for Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda and Medard Lubega Sseggona. Yes, I do. I usually see some of their sycophants, lackeys, minions, obsequious lapdogs coming in the comment section of my Facebook, throwing insults, hurling insults at me. Oh, Mordecai, you're stupid, you are a fool. I usually laugh it off because I'm like, okay, if that's all you bring on this table debate, it's fine. I respect them, but I disagree with them in some areas. And I don't think that makes me their enemy. I don't think so. But if you see me as the enemy because I do not agree with them, because I disagree with them, so be it. Really, I can't change your mind. But let's go on and listen to Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda and see the intellectual dishonesty in his arguments.
They have told me he sleeps in parliament. As long as he wakes up to raise his hands in favor of NRM, bring in a better. I am not in a new debate. This debate is old. I am one of those who think people must choose their best to go and represent them in parliament.
I agree with that.
Museveni says...
I think you're pretty condescending when
Museveni
the other
says,
day you said Bakapere. You described the new lot, the new crop as Bakapere.
Yes,
I think
you
that's
see,
a bit disrespectful and harsh.
I am not disrespecting.
Now, that's where he goes wrong. Really, you cannot describe your fellow members of parliament as with a derogatory term, Bakapere. And when you're presented by your own words, there's no some sort of humility within you to say, hey, I take back those words, but this is what I intended to say. His egotistical worldview won't allow him to swallow this pride and be like, hey, I'm sorry, this is what I meant to say. Come on, Semujju. That's intellectualism now speaking.
You see, knowledge and talent is a resource. In other countries, you go around their countries hunting and looking for talent. Even when they are sending people to study, they choose their best for scholarships, for them to return and benefit their own country. That's how the Abumayanjas were selected by the colonial administration to go and study at Cambridge. They were the best at that time. Because they have been battling with Museveni, who says bring anyone as long as he...
Isn't it, do you see some sort of contradiction? The colonial outfit selects one of our own to go to Cambridge to study so that he comes and serve the interests of the colonial outfit. Of what importance is the education from Cambridge if your founder is intending to make you their slave?
He sleeps but wakes up to vote NRM. I cannot be involved with my colleagues in opposition that they also think as long as people are loyal to their parties where they are valued to parliament or not bring them. These books that I have carried, each of these books is...
Look at the dramatic face of Simon Kagwanjala.
4,000 pages. This is one set of books that we have to read when we are preparing a budget. There are 4 functions of a member of parliament.
Okay, now, it's very easy with some sort of a gullible society we are. It's very easy to be taken by that dramatic performance of Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda. But let's be honest, this is, it isn't about national interest and the importance to read. This is a thinly veiled defense for a friend, Medard Lubega Sseggona, period. He's trying to dress up, into some sort of a battle for competency. Really? Most members of parliament who are known like Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda are not research experts. And for that matter, I defend them. They shouldn't be research experts or policy wonks. No, that shouldn't be the case. They don't have to be research experts. And that's why our parliament, through our taxpayers' money, we hope that they have teams that can help members of parliament who are not policy wonks or research experts, so that they can find them technical advisors, so that they can help find them analysts, so that they can help them find researchers, so that they now can be able to present themselves after their teams have been able to explain to them. Not all of them are going to be able to read like you are. You are an avid reader. It is utterly egotistical for Mordecai to think that because I read this book, I may read this book in 6 months. Oh, whoever can't do that is stupid. That is egotistical. So when you display all these budget booklets and you say, oh, we have to read these, look at the volume. We understand that. But shouldn't the debate be about the role of your researchers, of your technical advisors? And I can guarantee you, he is going to go through his tirade, his diatribe, without mentioning, whether he's used some policy researchers or analysts or technical advisors. He wants to present himself as this know-it-all Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda. Come on.
One of the functions is appropriation, scrutinizing the national budget, because Museveni and his government collect taxes from every Ugandan. Those Ugandans from whom taxes are collected have sent you to parliament to make sure that their money is deployed to their social needs. So the work of an MP is to go through this. And this is just one set.
Yeah, but the Constitution stipulates that if one has an S6 or an equivalent, he's eligible to become an MP.
For me, it doesn't even matter, even if it was in senior 6. You mean people have no capacity to choose their best, even if they are of the same level. You've worked in newsrooms, you've worked in other organizations. Even when you are at the same level, there are people who will be better than the others. And you don't need a microscope to scrutinize
look at those booklets
and identify them.
Yeah,
I have told you every financial year starting December to May, for 6 months, we're only doing one thing, budgeting. You've got to read this. These are 4,000 pages. This is one volume. This is volume 2, 4,000 pages. This is volume 3, 4,000 pages.
Do you read?
And I do. You should go and
look, he can read those. It is fine. But a parliament is not a lecture room. It is not a classroom. You might be an avid reader. Reading might be your hobby. What if the other members of parliament who do not, but are good performers? What is the role? Of what importance is a technical advisor? Is a researcher for you? Of what importance are analysts? They are there to do this. Even the president has people they call chief of staff to do these kind of things for them. Even presidents, greatest orators of all time, had speech writers. Martin Luther King Jr. had folks who wrote down the I Have a Dream famous speech. Barack Hussein Obama used that. I think his name is John Favreau. To want to assume that, because you're this gifted in reading and all people should be like you is nothing short of egotistical mindset. No, not all members of parliament are supposed to or can read that. And that doesn't make them any less, to you. No. That's why they surround themselves with people who can do that. But because he wants to use his ability, the talent he has, just like for example, if Mathias Mpuuga, composed this song for the Parliament of Uganda, and then he's hosted on TV and said, man, it took me 4 sleepless nights composing this song. I believe all people should be able to do this. No. Even in, let me comment about art. Even in the field of entertainment, not every person can, write lyrics, compose lyrics. Some have songwriters, including one of the greatest of all time, Michael Jackson. Some of his songs were written by other people. Now, in the argument of Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda, he wants to tell us that if you cannot dance like Michael Jackson, then you're not good enough. If you're Lionel Richie and you cannot dance, every musician should be able to dance. No, it shouldn't. And look, I'm not arguing against choosing the best. But what happens when the Constitution is respected? This is Ibrahim Ssemujju saying, okay, that's not my best. I would rather you choose the other person. If people have said, this is who we want, it doesn't really matter. The vast majority have said, this is who we want. It doesn't really matter. Really, it doesn't make any sense here. But let's continue.
Ask people at home. It's like I am back in school.
So why?
Okay.
Why are you quick to judge?
I spent 2 months reading and understanding.
Good for you. And that's good. I have respect for you for that. That's so good for you. Now, are you trying to tell us that Parliament will come on a standstill if you're not in Parliament? This is what he's trying to say. If I'm not in Parliament, just in case if the worst happened to me, the Parliament would cease to operate. Because look my intellectualism, look my reading abilities and conceptualization and stuff like this. All this would be deprived from the people of Kira. No. Some do that. Others do the rest, like others research, others analyze, others are technocrats.
That's why when you are presenting a budget and I am not in this parliament, that parliament will miss me. Because I dedicate my time, read, ask. We have people who can help you to understand better. And this is just one set. This is one set. You have several other sets that you have to read and several other documents. The country must understand that to be an MP is very difficult work. You need to choose your best to go and represent you. This is not a ceremony.
But
that you wake up every day and you end up in the parliament.
What's your issue here and why now? Because you've lived with your colleagues
I am
for a
saying
while.
not now. I was in Ginger.
We didn't see you then.
And I told the people of Ginger, please elect Mweru. I also told them, don't bother him with attending funerals. Don't bother him with presiding over nursery.
So they listened. Come on.
Primary children graduating. That work you can ask councillors to do it. Leave MPs to concentrate. These things, I tell each time of budget, I spend more than 2 months reading.
Yeah, but it's always a learning curve. You can imagine. You must have entered parliament when you were an underdog yourself.
No. I have never.
He's always been good. No. I've never been an underdog.
I covered parliament as a journalist for 10 years. In fact, I knew more about parliament than MPs during those 10 years.
Imagine that. He believes that is the best thing that has ever happened or that has ever been created since the invention of ice cream.
So I went to do work that I for which I already had the knowledge. And I'm not saying everybody is going to be as gifted or as like I was.
So what are you saying?
Because I had covered parliament, that benefit I had.
Exactly. This is a contradiction. Because you had covered parliament, that that opportunity you had, that privilege. You started from somewhere. You had covered parliament. You knew how it operates. Don't you think that your ability to conceptualize, to read and analyze these heavy booklets comes from the background that you have as a journalist? And don't you think that there are others who are capable of serving their people, but can't do what you do with those booklets? Maybe they have people who help them research, analyze, and give them a summary. It is sort of hypocritical to be like, okay, this works for me, but others cannot be. I mean, listen, cannot be given that opportunity. Listen to what he said here. What did that say?
Like I was. Everybody is going to be as gifted or as like I was.
No. There's a word he wants to say. I don't think that everybody is going to be gifted. He doesn't say what he really wants to say.
So I went to do work that I for which I already had the knowledge. And I'm not saying everybody is going to be as gifted.
Not as gifted. Let's put the gift away. Not everybody is going to have the background like I had. You were in the newsroom. You were a member of the press who had covered parliament. So you knew the inner workings of the parliament. So that gave you an upper hand when it came to you representing the people.
Or as like I was, because I had covered parliament, that benefit I had.
So you had that benefit because you had been there. So you cannot fault them of not knowing stuff. And in his argument, actually, that tells you that had he not been in the newsroom, he would have been like the rest. He would be ignorant about how the parliament operates. That's why when no members of parliament join that parliament, they go through first step called orientation to teach them how things work. You know, because you are covering that parliament. That doesn't make you any better.
There are people you can train. There are also others that you cannot train.
And how do you know these people that you can train and those you cannot? And who are you? I want to be very, 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 very clear. Education is really, really, really important. But Uganda is not a monarch. It is a democracy. It is not even a monarch of scholars. It is a democracy. And in a democracy, well, it is not a perfect democracy, but that's what we want to try to build. But in a democracy, leadership belongs to the people. They decide whom they want them to represent them. They decide. Us, the people of Kira Municipality, the people of Busiro East, decide. There are so many people. It is the mindset of Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda that led to the rise of Donald Trump in the USA as a populist leader. Because the intellectuals were sort of speaking that, we cannot give you this opportunity and stuff like that. And people be like, okay, is this what you think? We're going to vote for this person in the first place. So you have to understand the dangers in your argument, Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda. We do not have a monarch of scholars. We do not have constituents are not intellectuals or elites. Constituents are ordinary people who sit and decide whom they want to represent them.
The most important thing, and I have told people, I was in Chiganda, Kasokoso yesterday, I was in Insasa, and I am happy my people appreciate and they see that there is work to do in the parliament. I don't know, because this work should be done by the Human Rights Commission. To tell people that there is work. Because you see, President Museveni has been a very bad man. He has technical people who do his things properly.
Thank you. Museveni has technical people who do these things properly. Shouldn't a member of parliament have a technical person to do that? I would think so. Because Museveni himself cannot do it. He cannot do all these things. So is Museveni.
He offloads these things to MPs who don't read, who don't understand. I have
don't read.
told you in the last budget, I told Parliament that Museveni has put in these documents money to pay Congo. 235 billion. He has put in this, hidden in these documents, 532 billion to give to Magora. He has put in this budget money to pay Mobaji. He has put in these documents money to pay Rocco. If you don't read them and you wait just to raise your hands, you are selling your own country. This country is highly indebted.
You know, he goes on to explain this, but you know, I've seen some Ugandans actually asking, okay, how have the intellectuals, the elites, these scholars, Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda is espousing, have been able to redirect the future of our country? Some might ask, how were they able to put up a fight when the Constitution was being wrecked in 2005? Of what importance? How were they able to help? Now, just like I said, this is not a rejection of the value of education in leadership. I immensely respect that. Actually, the Constitution itself requires you to be educated, at least with a Senior 6 certificate. But it is very, very important in my argument. I'm trying to say it is very important to recognize that political legitimacy and effectiveness are not defined solely by academic credentials. And I'm sure if we did some sort of a deep dive, digging into the performance of members of parliament, would be those ones who do not identify as some sort of intellectual or elites, experts, and like Semujju is trying to present them. I am not here to defend elitism, and I will not do that. What I'm doing here is to question whether intellectual superiority, as Semujju Nganda is trying to present it, should be the benchmark for a representation in a democracy. Or should there be striking of the balance between intellectualism and the ordinary Ugandans? If we want to build a democracy, and parliament should be an umbrella that brings all people together, shouldn't these so-called ordinary people have someone they identify with? In the mind of Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda, it doesn't work like that. No, they should. But it is so funny and very sad that Semujju knows that his argument is extremely hypocritical, because Matthias Walukaga is an educated man with a Senior 6 certificate. He's pursuing a bachelor's degree in public administration. But in the mind of Semujju Nganda, he wants to be the one to decide the quality of a leader that should be in parliament. Semujju, you are not a constituent of Busiro East. Let the people in Kira East decide whether you should go back to parliament or George Musisi. And let the people of Busiro East decide whether it should be Matthias Walukaga or Medard Lubega Sseggona or other folks who are going to be running in that race. It is egotistical, selfishness to say the least, for you to sit on this some sort of, to put yourself on a pedestal of deciding who should be representing which people in which area. It is wrong. So let people decide. That's some sort of a democracy we are trying to fight for. Museveni himself, when Museveni launched a war against the government of Tito Okello and Obote, there were some intellectuals and elites, but they went behind him. And if we really took accepted the conversation, the argument of Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda on face value, Ssemujju Nganda shouldn't be having conversation with Bobby Wine, because in his mind, Bobby Wine is not intellectual enough and an elite. It is hypocrisy. It is ego speaking. It is defense for a friend that is thinly, veiled as a battle for competence. It is not. And for that, I say, let the people of Busiro East decide for themselves. And besides that, Ibrahim Ssemujju Nganda, will you please put all your focus in the operations of the People's Front for Freedom and let NUP do what they're supposed to be doing? That's their own business. My name is Mordecai Morisa. See you when you see me. Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.